No, 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 no. I don't want to hear about this right now. I need y'all focused. Okay, I need y'all focused and locked in. I already have to deal with a front office that is a bit clueless and a head coach that does not seem to understand that Caitlin Clark needs to have the ball in her hand. I don't need to be worrying about Sophie Cunningham and Kelsey Mitchell not being 100% focused. Not saying y'all not, but there are some people who are saying y'all may not be 100% focused due to this Project B situation. This isn't good. Welcome to Keep the Vision. Make sure you like, comment.
Caitlin Clark walked into the locker room expecting a championship mindset, but what she found was a team already looking for the exit. Kelsey Mitchell and Sophie Cunningham just dropped a bombshell that has the entire Indiana Fever organization shaking. While Clark is focused on building a dynasty, her two most important veteran teammates are publicly reaffirming their commitment to a rival league. It is not just a side hustle, it is a total shift in priorities that leaves Clark standing alone on an island. The timing could not be worse, and the panic behind the scenes is very real. This is about more than just basketball. It is about a complete lack of focus on the mission at hand.
How they are looking forward to it, and this is raising a lot of questions for Indiana Fever fans, and people are questioning, hey, are y'all all in? Are y'all focused? Why are we talking about Project B right now? This is an important season that we have going underway. Now, let's take a look at things here, courtesy of Front Office Sports, Yan Yan Lee. Okay, here it says, Kelsey Mitchell, Sophie Cunningham reaffirmed commitment for Project B despite CBA. Here it says, this was a quote from Sophie Cunningham. Okay, when they're offering that type of money, plus the signing bonus, plus having equity in the company, it's a no-brainer. Okay, and I understand all of that.
The news broke just as the Fever kicked off their preseason against the New York Liberty. You would think the focus would be on team chemistry and getting Clark acclimated to the professional level. Instead, the headlines were dominated by Mitchell and Cunningham talking about Project B. This new touring league is not just some small exhibition circuit. It is a massive financial juggernaut, offering $2 million salaries and equity in the company. When that kind of money is on the table, the WNBA season starts to look like a secondary obligation. For a rookie sensation like Caitlin Clark, seeing her veteran leaders distracted by seven-figure paydays elsewhere is a nightmare scenario.
From Sophie Cunningham, okay? When they're offering that type of money, plus the signing bonus, plus having equity in the company, it's a no-brainer. Okay, and I understand all of that. Listen, I'm not knocking y'all. Get y'all bread. Get y'all bread while you can. You can't play ball forever, so get the bread while you can. KTV's not knocking that at all, but I feel like this is a big season here. This is a big season. Caitlin Clark MVP season loading. We trying to go win a championship. I don't want to hear about Project B. I don't want to hear about Unrivaled. Y'all heard what the last person said about Unrivaled. Y'all know what I'm talking about? Natasha Cloud was talking about Unrivaled, and she's stuck at Unrivaled. Okay, we need y'all focused. Kelsey Mitchell,
Sophie Cunningham did not hold back when she was asked about her commitment to this outside project. She literally called it a no-brainer. Think about that for a second. While the Fever front office is trying to sell a vision of a championship future, one of their key starters is telling the world that her body has to suck it up because the money is too good to pass up. She even admitted that she has financially smart people in her ear telling her she has to do it. This is exactly what keeps coaches up at night. How can you expect 100% effort on the court when your players are already mentally counting their millions from a league that has nothing to do with the Indiana Fever?
Indiana Fever's opening preseason matchup against the New York Liberty. Fever stars Kelsey Mitchell and Sophie Cunningham reaffirmed their commitment to upstart women's basketball league Project B. This comes despite Mitchell saying earlier this week that it would take a drastic, unique situation for her to play overseas again after the WNBA's new CBA was signed, increasing players' salary from a maximum around $250,000 to $1.4 million. Kelsey Mitchell, you took the whole bags. I don't want to hear about no other leagues right now. I don't want to hear about no other league. You get $1.4 million to be focused on the Indiana Fever season. Focused on the Indiana Fever season. I don't want to hear about no damn Project B right now. It's too much at stake.
Kelsey Mitchell is in a similar boat, but her situation is even more concerning for Clark. Mitchell just signed a Supermax deal worth $1.4 million to stay with the Fever. You would think that kind of investment would buy total devotion, but she is still chasing the bag with Project B. She talked about how this new league allows her to travel to Europe, Asia, and Latin America for short bursts rather than staying overseas for 8 months. While that sounds great for her lifestyle, it is a recipe for physical disaster. History shows that Mitchell does not have the best track record when it comes to staying healthy while playing in multiple leagues at the same time.
B is kicking off, and y'all already know, there's so many players. Kayla McBride was hurt playing overseas. Kelsey Mitchell has come into multiple Indiana Fever seasons. Caitlin Clark's rookie year, Kelsey Mitchell had an ankle injury. I believe that was from playing overseas. Caitlin Clark's second year, I believe Kelsey Mitchell came in with a finger injury or something. Like, she's been hurt every year coming into the season from playing overseas up until this year, where she did compete in Unrivaled and she wasn't hurt so far coming into Caitlin Clark's year 3. But we see injuries take place. Horston Horton from Seattle, I think she had a season in the injury. I don't even think she played last year. We've seen this movie.
The injury history here is what has Caitlin Clark truly panicked. In previous seasons, Kelsey Mitchell has arrived at training camp with ankle injuries and finger injuries sustained while playing in other leagues. She has been beat up every year she has entered the season, and now she is planning to add even more mileage to her body. We have already seen stars like Horston Horton and Kaylin McBride go down with season-ending injuries while playing outside the WNBA. Clark knows that if Mitchell or Cunningham goes down during one of these tournaments, the Fever's championship hopes vanish instantly. The risk is astronomical, yet the players seem completely unfazed by the potential consequences.
Okay, the 5-on-5 league will reportedly pay 7-figure salaries starting at $2 million, as well as equity. She said when they're offering that type of money, plus the signing bonus, plus having equity in the company, it's a no-brainer. I have financially smart people around me. They're like, you got to do it. Your body's got to suck it up. Now, she's already letting it be known, this is rough wear and tear on the body. You're bound to get hurt playing all this basketball. You're about to go through a grueling WNBA season, which we hope they fix the referees and the officiating, because it's been prison ball, it's been rugby, it's been NFL Sunday,
It is not just about the physical toll, it is about the mental fatigue that comes with being a professional athlete. The WNBA has become what many are calling prison ball or rugby because of how physical the officiating has been lately. It is a grueling, exhausting grind that requires months of recovery. To finish a WNBA season and then immediately fly across the world to play in 7 different tournaments is asking for trouble. Sophie Cunningham already has a history of serious knee injuries. Her admitting that her body will just have to suck it up is a massive red flag. It feels like they are trading their long-term health and the Fever's success for a quick payday.
About to go through a grueling WNBA season, which we hope they fix the referees and the officiating, because it's been prison ball, it's been rugby, it's been NFL Sunday. This is what it's been. So to then go overseas and think that you're going to come back for the next WNBA season 100% healthy, and Sophie Cunningham, someone who already suffered a serious knee injury, is just not the greatest situation. But here it says, even with the increased payday she's getting and the platform she has in the W, Cunningham still values the opportunities she says she'll have with Project B. Cunningham is joining you.
Caitlin Clark is currently dealing with a front office that many fans describe as clueless and a head coach who still struggles to understand that the offense needs to run through her. When you add distracted teammates to that equation, you have a recipe for a total collapse. Clark did not shoot the ball well in the preseason opener, and while it is just one game, the energy felt off. It is hard to build a winning culture when the veterans are talking about other leagues before the first real whistle even blows. The leadership gap in Indiana is widening, and Clark is the one who has to carry the weight of those expectations while her teammates are looking at the calendar.
The Fever duo's verbal commitment to Project B post-CBA indicates there is interest in the league beyond being used as a leverage for WNBA salary negotiations in November. Sources told Front Office Sports that Project B could eventually be an indirect threat to the WNBA. Project B directly overlaps with Unrivaled, which runs from January to March. There are currently 13 players announced for Project B. So they have reverbalized their commitments to Unrivaled. I just don't feel like this is the time or place. I only want to hear about the Indiana Fever. I only want to hear about WNBA. This ain't the time for that. This ain't the time for that. A lot of people online are voicing concerns.
The tension is palpable because Project B is not just some off-season hobby. It is being viewed as an indirect threat to the WNBA itself. It overlaps with other leagues like Unrivaled and creates a cluttered schedule that leaves players with zero downtime. Mitchell mentioned that Project B allows her to return to the US between tournaments, but that constant travel and high-stakes competition is exactly what leads to burnout. If the Fever are going to be a powerhouse, they need their stars locked in 100%. Right now, it feels like Mitchell and Cunningham have one foot out the door, and Clark is left wondering who she can actually rely on when the pressure hits. Fans are starting to vocalize their frustrations online, and the sentiment is clear. This is not the time or the place for these discussions. The Indiana Fever are supposed to be in a championship loading phase. They have the most hyped prospect in the history of the league, yet the conversation is dominated by equity and signing bonuses for a league that does not even start until 2026. It feels like a slap in the face to the fans who are buying tickets to see a focused, determined team. The term unreliable has been thrown around in the league recently, and unfortunately, this situation is only fueling those firestorms. The perception of the team is shifting from contenders to a group of individuals. Let us look at the numbers because they tell a very loud story. Mitchell is making $1.4 million on her Supermax, while Cunningham is set to earn over $600,000 in 2026. These are not small salaries. These are life-changing amounts of money that should be enough to keep a player focused on their primary job. Yet, the lure of that $2 million Project B salary is clearly the priority. Sophie Cunningham even mentioned that she was not sure if there would even be a 2026 WNBA season when she signed her commitment. That level of uncertainty and lack of faith in the league she currently plays in is a staggering revelation that explains why Clark might be feeling uneasy. Caitlin Clark is used to being the center of attention, but she is also used to teammates who are as obsessed with winning as she is. At Iowa, the focus was singular. In Indiana, she is finding out that professional basketball is often more about the business than the game. Watching her teammates chase equity in a touring league while the Fever struggle with basic offensive sets is a tough pill to swallow. The disconnect between Clark's competitive fire and the veterans' financial pursuits is creating a rift that could define the season before it even gets off the ground. It is a clash of philosophies that rarely ends well for the team on the court. There is also the issue of Sophie Cunningham's mounting side projects. Between being a WNBA analyst for USA Network and co-hosting a podcast with a reality TV star, her schedule is packed. She spoke about how companies are pouring into players and seeing their value as businesswomen, not just athletes. While that is great for the growth of women's sports, it raises the question of how much gas is left in the tank for the actual games. When you are an analyst, a podcaster, a business owner, and a player in two different leagues, something eventually has to give. Clark needs a teammate who is a basketball player first, not a media personality who plays on the side. The Indiana Fever are at a crossroads. They have the talent to be a playoff threat, but they lack the cohesion required to beat the elite teams like the Liberty or the Aces. During the preseason, you could see the gaps in their execution. If Kelsey Mitchell and Sophie Cunningham are already looking forward to November of 2026, they are not going to be the ones diving for loose balls in June of 2024. This lack of urgency is what has Clark panicking. She knows how short championship windows can be, and she does not want to waste her prime years waiting for her teammates to decide that the Indiana Fever are their top priority. Project B is positioning itself as a legitimate alternative for top-tier talent, and that is a problem for team building. If players can make more money playing in 2-week tournaments across the globe than they can in a full WNBA season, the league's stars will always have one eye on the exit. Mitchell and Cunningham are among the 13 players already announced for this new league, which shows that this is a widespread trend. For Clark, this means she is playing in a league that is slowly being cannibalized by these upstart ventures. It is hard to build a winning culture when the very foundation of the league is being questioned by the players themselves. We have seen this movie before, and it usually ends with a star player asking for a trade or a team falling apart under the weight of its own distractions. Clark is too professional to call out her teammates publicly, but the frustration is etched on her face during every timeout. She needs veteran leadership that reinforces the importance of the current season. Instead, she is getting veterans who are using their platforms to promote their next career move. It is a bizarre dynamic that undermines everything the Fever are trying to accomplish. If this trend continues, the Indiana Fever might become nothing more than a training ground for players waiting for their next big payday. The financial security argument is hard to fight, but it does not change the reality of the locker room. Sophie Cunningham admitted that her body would have to suck it up because the money was a no-brainer. That is a terrifying phrase for a fan to hear. It implies that she knows she is overextending herself and that her performance might suffer as a result. If she is already planning to play through the pain for a different league, how much is she willing to sacrifice for the Fever? This is the fundamental question that is haunting the organization right now. The pursuit of wealth is overshadowing the pursuit of greatness, and the results on the court will reflect that. Kelsey Mitchell's comments about the Miami-based Unrivaled League also add another layer of complexity. She mentioned that it was easier to hone her craft there than overseas, but she is still choosing to join Project B, which is a touring league. It seems like the players are trying to have it all: the WNBA salary, the domestic league experience, and the international touring money. But the human body has limits. You cannot be in 3 places at once and expect to perform at an elite level. Clark is the one who will suffer the most from this because she is the one who will be double-teamed while her teammates struggle to keep up with the pace. The front office sports report confirmed that Mitchell and Cunningham's commitment to Project B is not just leverage for contract negotiations. It is a real, binding verbal commitment. This means the Fever are essentially sharing their stars with a league that could eventually become a direct competitor. The 2025 and 2026 seasons are going to be defined by this conflict. As the WNBA tries to expand and increase its footprint, its own players are diversifying their interests to the point of distraction. It is a chaotic time for the league, and the Indiana Fever are currently the poster child for this internal struggle. Caitlin Clark's rookie year was supposed to be about her transition to the pros, but it has turned into a masterclass in navigating organizational drama. From a coach who does not know how to use her to teammates who are looking at other leagues, she is facing hurdles that no rookie should have to deal with. The panic is not just about losing games, it is about the realization that the environment around her might not be conducive to winning. If the veterans are not fully invested, the young players will follow suit. The culture of the Fever is at risk of becoming one of convenience rather than one of excellence. Let us not forget the physical toll of the travel involved in Project B. 7 two-week tournaments across 3 different continents is an insane schedule. The jet lag alone would be enough to ruin an athlete's rhythm. When you factor in the intensity of professional basketball, it is a miracle anyone stays healthy. Mitchell's desire to go in and come out quickly might be better than an 8-month overseas stint, but it is still a massive disruption. For a team like the Fever that needs every practice second to build chemistry with Clark, these outside commitments are a constant roadblock to their potential. The silence from the Fever front office on this issue is deafening. They are watching their 2 highest paid veterans prioritize a rival league, and they have said nothing to reassure the fans. This lack of leadership at the top only makes Clark's job harder. She is the face of the league and the hope of the franchise, but she has no protection from the distractions that are eating the team from the inside out. The preseason loss to the Liberty was a wake-up call that talent alone is not enough. You need a singular focus, and right now the Indiana Fever are anything but focused. As we move closer to the regular season, the pressure on Mitchell and Cunningham to perform will be immense. Every missed shot and every defensive lapse will be scrutinized through the lens of their outside commitments. Fans will naturally ask if they are tired from their side hustles or if their minds are already in Europe or Asia. It is a precarious position for any athlete to be in, and it creates a toxic atmosphere that can ruin a locker room. Clark is caught in the middle of a storm that she did not create, and her ability to navigate this will determine the trajectory of her career in Indiana. At the end of the day, basketball is a team sport that requires total buy-in from everyone involved. Caitlin Clark is ready to give everything to the game, but she cannot do it alone. If Kelsey Mitchell and Sophie Cunningham are more worried about their equity in Project B than their defensive rotations in Indiana, the Fever are in serious trouble. The lure of the bag is strong, but the cost of chasing it might be the very championship Clark was brought here to win. Only time will tell if this distraction destroys the season, or if the team can find a way to lock in before it is too late. The stakes have never been higher, and the clock is ticking on the Fever's future.